As we get closer to November, it appears that Donald Trump is about to flip the popular vote. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because it appears that Donald Trump is about to flip the popular vote. Yeah, that's right. Despite the fact Trump has never won the popular vote, whether it's 2016 or 2020, Trump has never, ever won the popular vote. Well, there's a good chance that this could be the year that he finally gets over that hump and finally wins the popular vote. Now, I want to be clear that I am not saying that this will for sure happen. I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that Trump will win the popular vote, let alone by some crazy margin. But there's a good chance that, yeah, Trump could actually win the popular vote for the first time ever and become the first Republican since 2004 to win the popular vote. Now, you look at the current RCP average right now, it's Harris plus 0.2. In other words, it's a tied race. Let's just say right now the race for the popular vote is tied. When it's Harris plus 0.2, that's statistical noise, that's a 50-50 race, you don't know. But the point is, right now in the RCP average, it's a tied race for the popular vote. We're not talking about some random swing state. This is for the popular vote. And even if Harris wins it by 0.2 or whatever, she loses the Electoral College. That's why right now she's in a very bad situation. But there's a chance that Trump could actually win the popular vote. And I know that sounds crazy because no Republican since Bush 04 has won the popular vote. Every single year, Democrats win by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points in the popular vote outside of midterms and House races. Those don't count. When we say the popular vote, we're talking about for the presidency. And no Republican since Bush 04 has won that. Yet there's a chance Trump could actually win it. And again, I know it sounds crazy because of all Republicans to potentially win the popular vote, you would think Trump would have no shot at doing that. Because back in 2020, he lost it by 4.5 points. Back in 2016, when he won, he lost it by roughly 2 points. So it sounds crazy that for his third presidential campaign, he's actually going to win it this time. I know that sounds crazy, but right now, the RCP average is a tied race. And you look at the trend, look at this. Just a couple weeks ago, it was Harris plus 2, Harris plus 2.5, Harris plus 1.5, plus 2, etc. But in the last week or so, it has swung heavily towards Trump. Look at this. Harris plus 2, then it was Harris plus 1.5, then it kept going up and up and up for Trump. In fact, this is the highest Trump has ever polled nationally. That's not a misquote. Trump has never polled this high. He's never been at 48.5% of the vote. Back in July, he was at roughly 48%. This is the highest Trump has ever been on the RCP average, at least at the national level. Think about that for a second. He's never polled this high ever. Back in 2020, his highest was 45.5%. Back in 2016, it was 45%. But right now, Trump is polling the best he's ever polled on the RCP average. He's never polled anywhere close to 48%, let alone 48.5%. This is a big deal because this confirms that it's not just Harris going down in support. Trump's going up in support. Back in 2020, Trump got roughly 47% of the vote. 2016, 46%. That means right now, Trump is doing several points better compared to 2020 and 2016, just with his vote share. It's not one of those things where Harris is down by 15 points and that's why it's a tied race. No, Trump is, by all metrics, polling the best he's ever polled. And it's clear he's gaining momentum at the right time. You just look at the polling, and the polls the last week or so, they have clearly swung heavily towards Trump. Trump plus 3, Trump plus 2, Trump plus 3, Trump plus 3. And you do got some outliers from Reuters, Morning Compost, but it's like, do you really trust Morning Consult and Reuters? two very shit pollsters that have never been right. And even then, you could look at individual pollsters like the Wall Street Journal. A couple months ago, it was Harris +1. Now, they found Trump +2. Forbes/Harris X. Just a month ago, it was Harris +4. Now, Trump +2. Rasmussen has been consistently at Trump +2. Now they're Trump +3. Even Morning Consult, a couple weeks ago, they had a Harris +6. So even the good polls for Harris, they're showing a shift towards Trump. It's every poll. Even Reuters, they showed a 3-point shift compared to September. That's the problem for Harris here. It's not just one poll that's looking good for Trump. No, every single poll is showing a consistent trend towards Trump. And not just a 1-point swing. A lot of them are showing a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-point shift towards Trump at the last second. With many of them saying Trump is going to win the popular vote, something he has never done before. This is a big deal because it's not, like I said, it's not just one poll. There's 6 polls on the RCP average right now who have Trump winning. And even then, there are other polls not on the RCP average showing the same thing. Look at this. These are other recent national polls. Of course, the Wall Street Journal, Rasmussen, Atlas Intel, they're listed here. But even pollsters like Marquette, Emerson, Signal, they're showing a tied race. RMG Research, which is a Democrat-leaning pollster, Harris +1. Suffolk, Harris +1. The only polls in recent days that has Trump down by like 2 to 3 points or more is from Ipsos, YouGov, and Morning Compost. Very shitty polls. They're not good at all. They have huge Democrat biases, and I'm not denying that Rasmussen and others, yeah, they sometimes have Republican biases. I get that, but YouGov and Ipsos, they're way to the left. Every time they post a poll, you're better off just shifting that result by 5 points. I'm not even exaggerating. Anytime Ipsos or YouGov post anything, you're better off look at the number and saying to yourself, you know what, shift it 5 points to the right. I mean, seriously, who do you trust more? The Wall Street Journal, Rasmussen, Atlas Intel, and Fox News, or YouGov and Ipsos? Seriously, who do you trust more? I know Rasmussen and others, they have Republican biases at times. I get that. But like I said, YouGov and Ipsos, they suck. They have huge Democrat biases. Yet even they can barely get Harris up by 2 or 3 points. That's all they can get her up by. Even RMG Research, they only have Harris up by 1. Everyone else is saying it's either a tied race or it's Trump winning the popular vote, which, like I said, he has not done yet. But fine, right now in the RCP average, you could argue it is still technically a Harris lead. It is still Harris plus 0.2. And you could argue maybe, just maybe, the polls are going to actually understate Harris nationally. That's what some people are arguing, that what's going to happen. That Trump's going to lose the popular vote because she's still technically winning by 0.2%, even though there's some huge outliers here like TIP, Morning Consult, Reuters, etc. But fine. I guess there's a possibility that Rasmussen and others, they're overstating Trump. That's not entirely crazy to say. I get that. The problem for Democrats is, well, look at the same polls back in 2020. Look at this. In the middle of October, it was Biden +9, Biden +8, +9, +7.5. He won by 4.5 points. 2016, the middle of October, same thing. Clinton +6, +7, +6, +5. She won by 2. So in 2016 and 2020, at the same time period, the national polls were off by roughly 3 to 5 points in favor of Trump, not in favor of Clinton or Biden. No, these polls dramatically overstated Clinton and Biden, not the other way around. And even the individual polls like YouGov, YouGov, their final with The Economist was Biden +10. YouGov right now, they had the race Harris +3. Reuters, Biden +7. Right now, Reuters, they have Harris +3. Those were their finals in 2020. And even earlier in the cycle, they were even worse. You see the problem here? It's not just Trump is picking up momentum at the right time and it seems like he's tied the popular vote. It's a fact that Trump is getting his highest vote share in the popular vote ever. And these same polls back in 2020 and 2016 dramatically understated his support. Look at this. Back in 2020, Trump was supposed to get 44% of the vote. He ended up with 47%. That's a 3-point miss in Trump's vote share. In 2016, look at this. It was 2.5%. So if you take the same miss and apply it to 2024, which I'm not saying it's going to happen, but even a 2-point miss, which is less than 2016 and less than 2020, well, at that point, Trump's above 50%. He is above 50% of the vote in that scenario. If that happens where he's above 50, that means it wasn't just, oh, Jill Stein took a chunk of the vote away from Harrison, that's why she lost. No. If he gets above 50% of the popular vote, that means a majority of voters voted for him. And Democrats have no excuses to say it was Jill Stein, Cornel West, the libertarians that hurt Harris. And that's why she lost the popular vote. If Trump gets above 50%, they can't use that excuse. Because even in that scenario where every single third-party vote goes to Harris, Trump is still above 50%. He is still cracking 50%. That's a majority. No matter what you say, he got a majority of the vote in that scenario. And funny enough, this isn't the only indicator that that's possible. I'm not saying it's for sure going to happen, but not just the head-to-head polling, but we have brand new favorability polling from Gallup, a very good pollster. And look at this. Trump's favorability is higher than Harris's. It's +2 Trump and -2 Harris. But look at the favorability for both of them. Trump's at 50% favorable, Harris only at 48% favorable. Yeah. Identical to what I'm saying. They found Trump at roughly 50% favorable and Harris only at 48%. Which, if that lines up to the final results, that's actually what we could be seeing in the RCP average right now. Harris ends up with roughly 48% of the vote. Trump ends up with roughly 50%. If the same polling miss occurs that occurred back in 2020 and 2016. And just speaking of favorability, Trump's favorability is the best it's been in a long time. Right now, it's only -5. Compare that to 2020. And it was -12, -13. And back in 2016, it was even worse. Look at this, -16, -21. But as of now, it's -5. His unfavorability is going down, while his favorability, for the first time ever, has cracked above 45%. So it's not just the head-to-head polling showing Trump surging, it's even the favorability metrics that can be predictive. For crying out loud, back in 2020, Biden led on this issue by like 30 points, the favorability question. He won it by like 20 to 30 points or something crazy like that. Yet he barely won. But now Trump's favorability, it's going up and up and up. It's going up very slowly, but it is still trending upwards. Now, does this mean Trump's for sure going to win the popular vote and he's going to get 50% of the vote? No. We cannot get complacent and expect that. But right now, there's a legitimate chance it could happen. There's a chance that Trump could not only win the popular vote, but get a majority. Which, if that happens, I don't see how Harris wins. I don't see how Harris has a pathway through the Electoral College if she's not only just barely loses the popular vote. That alone is enough for her to lose. But if Trump is getting above 50% of the vote, do you really think Trump's going to lose in that scenario? Because at that point, it's a clear shift from 2020. He went from roughly 47% of the vote back in 2020, 46% back in 2016, to above 50%. That's a huge swing. It's not just Harris going down, it's Trump going up, and by a lot. He's getting a majority of the vote everywhere. We will see what happens, because maybe this is a fluke. Maybe these polls are a complete fluke. They're not going to be consistent. I guess there's a possibility. But right now, a lot of indicators are pointing to potentially Trump winning the popular vote. And I'm not saying that's for sure going to happen, but I think right now it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip between Harris winning it or Trump winning the popular vote. We'll see what happens in the next week or so, but if you're the Harris campaign, you don't like these trends. These trends are awful. These are not the trends you want at the last second, especially if you're Harris. You want to be surging right now. Or at the bare minimum, just be coasting. Like, if you were coasting off the momentum that you had 2 to 3 months ago, okay, yeah, Trump might have gained a little bit, but you would not be collapsing. Right now, they're going down. They're not even coasting, they are collapsing. We'll see what happens in the next week or so, but it is looking damn good for Trump. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.